Welcome to the original version of Twisted Distortion. The intention was to mirror the Act 1, the starting area, the starting area. And I'm going to switch to night vision, but I want you to see in normal light, the bedrock walls and ceiling do not look that terribly bad. They don't look good. They don't look great. But they look really bad with night vision on. So everything here is swapped with something. Probably sand with soul sand, and grass with mycelium, flowers with mushrooms, torches with redstone torches. I don't remember why this one had torches on it. Maybe it was to kind of mimic how there was spawners that were effectively in the other area. Not really a threat. We have natural spawns. All the areas in my older maps just have whatever natural spawns want to show up. A lot of replication, because it is literally just a copy. Water to lava. Except, I think this is it's not really an area, but it's pretending to be an area. Lava cow, lava pit. And here we have the lava cow. And it's just a mushroom with a name and fire resistance. And it's just regular bowls with enchanted with fire protection. Just for the theme of it. These won't exist in the update because I've updated the food. We have the cloud layer in the wrong spot. But that's... I think back in this day, I would have said turn off clouds, or I would have turned off clouds and saved it into the settings of the file. I'm not sure what I would have expected to do. Or maybe I would have replaced the cloud texture with something invisible. You come in here, and because of render distance being what it is or was, it just looked like daylight. And so this division is mostly just to fight with that, or to make it look nicer. This is Dungeon 2, if I didn't mention. And then here's kind of the other half, the mountain. Some more block swaps. Some more water into lava. Leftover scraps from the start chest. Etc., etc. The monument. Floating disc of nothing. I renamed all the areas the same as in Act 1, but with some little change. Mountain of hard trials. Previous was Mountain of easy trials. This thing's now filled in and on fire and with holes that you can fall in. And the 3 areas, they don't go all the way. They just stop. There's nothing there. Here's a diamond block. Here's some charged creepers. It wasn't the most creative. It wasn't terrible. I tried. Here's some spawners. Octohopper, which is just a spider with jump boost, which probably doesn't do anything, but it's funny, I guess. And then we have the Flaming Bone Wad, level 2. In the redux of this area, actually the whole map, because we're talking about the Flaming Bone Wand, I tried to make it more useful, better, because it's supposed to be the legendary loot of the map, so it should be something you want to have. Zombie Dragoon, sometimes they spawn into zombies, sometimes they spawn in as zombie villagers. I don't know why. I'm actually in the process right now of redesigning, refiguring out, reimagining what those are going to look like. And then we have the drop. And here's some blocks to build with. And they're not even blocks. They're stairs. So here's some stairs to build your way down. And how annoying is that? What a jerk I am. Come on, bRan. Don't be a jerk. Okay, I'm doing what got me in trouble last time. I'm recording in a version of Minecraft and then minimizing and then going to another one and then recording to that one. And according to the monitors on the side, everything should work and be fine. Here we go. Twisted Distortion. Dungeon 2. Here's our Dimtech Urbis. I really think this is kind of cool. Little juts out of things. And at this point, you know what? Figure out how to get down. This opening was at closer level, but as I was editing this area, I had to lower it along with everything else to make it fit within the build limit of Bedrock. I did some interesting things with the ceiling just so it wasn't flat. I think it looks really good from down here. With Bedrock, we don't need to use night vision. And that's because in the settings, and I think even by default, it's just brighter. It's still the same darkness level. But you get to see. You get to see. Okay, so the first thing you're going to notice is this is the full copy of Act 1, the Act 1 area. Now, how I made this work is I shrunk the Act 1 area as much as I could before copying it over for this, knowing that I was going to want to redo this completely, or near completely. And now I have many more block options to swap with. So some of this is just a block swap, this for that. Some of it's, oh, I need to retexture something. What is this? Black concrete powder. I also need to update the name of some of these, just in case you do pick them up. I want them to make sense. Nether gravel, or whatever. And I like it. These are petrified logs, petrified leaves. They drop nothing. You can't use them. They're not worth your while, but they look cool. I made these originally for one of my Survival and series, where everything's just purple and terrible, and the only way you can really get to useful items is to go into the nether. And then I reused these textures in sandstone for the petrified woods, because they just look cool, and now they're here. So I really do like that I have a library of resources that get to be kind of across that spectrum. I almost should be in the Act 1 area to kind of compare the two, but that would make this video longer than I want it to be. But it should all look familiar. It should all look vaguely familiar. And every block, nearly every block's in the same space. So we have the action survival set, or the starter action set, or whatever we call it. And now we have the inaction set. And it's just got the hero's lantern. We have the exact same rule board. Let's look at a few other chests just to kind of compare. This one, in Act 1, I put a copy of a chest from sandstone. I've done that for a few things in the Act 1 area. That one was the Joe Hill's farming kit, something like that. My voice behaves until I decide, hey, actually, you know what? I want to record. Now it's called Doot Doot Toot, which is hilarious. It's just the greater horn that I told you about previously. It's not just a horn, it's a greater horn. I added some bundle of sticks, mixed in some cookies, the mended book from Dungeon 1. I put a few in each of the future areas, which is just something that it's a high-level enchantment. You disenchant it, you get a lot of experience, but there's a repair value on there, so you can't use it as a book. Although it would just add mending, so it's not that big a deal. I put leather in here just because I don't really know what else to put, and mostly just food items. Here's Distilled Lift. It's just speed and jump boost. There's another potion I still need to make that I'm thinking I'm going to make it so it just makes you float. Because I'm just trying to replicate the custom items I had made in the previous map. If somebody remembers what was in there, then I want to do something about it. Here is a decision that I will need to make. I figured by this time, if I gave you actual wood, it doesn't matter. So here it is. And if you're a speedrunner, I suppose you could come here if it was faster to get access to wood. I'm not sure if it would be. Probably not, because there's going to be enemies here too. But I almost like the idea of, no, the only wood items you get in the game ever in this map are sticks. That's still really interesting and funny and dumb as a gimmick to me. And so I kind of want to maintain that. Here is the Joyous Monument. I am assuming in Act 1 that you probably crafted and placed this, because it would be stupid easy to do. You probably placed this. You probably placed that. But even if you didn't, you could just assume that someone else placed it. But if you did place those and then you come here, you're like, oh, that's weird. And then the bronze is still missing because there's no way you place that. But at the start of Act 2, there is that chest full of the bronze. So I think if you take the time to grab that and come here and place it, it'll do something. It'll do something as if it's a real monument block. It'll give you a reward. It won't actually complete the map. It's not actually required to complete the map, but I thought that'd be kind of fun. What is this? This is a reminder of the items that I still have to place, because I'm actually working on mobs right now. Which mobs are going to go here, which aren't. I created another bee. That was 2 hours of annoyance to make a bee that's just red and attacks you and gives you wither. Should call it a wither bee, but it's another bee. It only took 2 hours because sometimes you run into things where something doesn't work, or you get an error that's being generated and it won't tell you why. And so I had to figure that out. Here we have Arrow Guard, which is fun because it's a chest from sandstone. An exact copy. Holy Helm of Arrow Deflection, because you're going to have some skeletons. And here, and in this case, we actually fully have these areas, which is kind of cool. This no longer has water in it. There's something over there. Oh, it's a fragment. Okay, well, you got to get across. And here's magma juice. And over here, we have the Tick-Tock Maze, Tick-Track Maze, Tick-Track Maze. Still figuring out what I'm going to put here. And this time there's no happy little bushes. And yes, that is TNT. And yes, if you set it off, you probably deserve to have it set off on you. We have the Flaming Bone Wand, Fire Aspect 3, Bane of Arthropods 3, Knockback 3. I think, yes, if I'm remembering to what I just looked at, and you would have it better in your memory than I, because I just showed it to you. That's much better. I want these items to be worth using. I've kind of taken that approach with all the items, making sure they're strong enough to be worth your while. And then we have a Leap of Faith Trial 3, which, as we know, is the area that you drop down into the water, except here, it's nothing. Instead, for this area, I moved that over here, because I thought that would be far more interesting. So far in my recording of going back and forth and up and down and Switching game version seems fine. My voice behaving and doing what I want, that's a different story. Okay. So, we are back in the old version, and what I made was this area that you would build down into. There's this empty square chamber, and that's actually a remnant of the original version, so even older back than this. I had some weird square bedrock and some kind of player sensor and redstone contraption and command blocks, all to reset your spawn. So that's that. And then we come down here, we have some more of these zombie dragoons. I'm thinking through how I want to remake them for this new area, the update. I'm still working on that. I think the main idea behind them originally was this area has a lot of places you can fall into and get stuck. And so I just thought it would be better if they had jump boost on them. And if they have jump boost, well, I mean, they're probably dragoons. Why wouldn't you? Down here we have a chest with a, I don't know. Why do I do these things? Fishing trip. I don't know. That loot to me now doesn't make sense. Like, ha ha ha, let's put something funny. But if you're exploring, then you want to be... You want to not fall down. You want to be rewarded for your exploration. So it goes here to a dead end. It goes around there, back through here, and then there's a path this way. It's not as maze-like as it looks like it could be. There are for sure a lot of places you could fall. That fishing trip chest would have much better been some kind of large quantity of blocks to help you bridge through this, maybe. And then we have this area open up. Again, keep in mind, without night vision, this place doesn't look as terrible. It's fairly interesting because where do you see something that looks like this anywhere else in Minecraft? And then we have our wool box, fleecy box, this chest with our smash hits of Nest of Spiders and Rise of the Bones. Just 2 records that you can hit people with if the durability on all your regular weapons have run out. Items like this also now have the added benefit of you can spam click them because they're not an actual weapon, so they don't really have a cooldown. These are meant to be positional spawners, and it looks like they're sort of working, where the windstorm skeleton, the skeleton with a punch bow, would come up and fall down and sniper shot you, because that's what skeletons used to do. They used to just sniper shot you, shoot you, and knock you off. Not a fun place to fall through into the void, but by this time in the map, maybe that's fair. I don't really know if that's fair. In this version of the map, that would have been a complete inventory wipe, so not that fun. I don't really like complete inventory wipes. It seems not interesting. Unless you have a way for the player to recuperate everything, then maybe it's okay once in a while. Trying to think if there's anything else I have about this area. I really do like how they look with their boots and their pants and their scythe. Scythe? Scythe. Scythe? Scythe. I don't know. They should have a pokey thing, a javelin, I believe. But they don't. That's what they have. So it's fine. Okay. We are back in the update. No. Let's fall. Now, something I should consider. How do you get down here? I should probably give a chest with blocks. You should probably have a pick by now. But I don't want you to have to tear apart this area. I could put something down here that takes fall damage. I'm not sure. Anyway, the first thing you'll notice, it's not all... There's not as many holes. This is still bedrock, but it's the retextured, recolored, more of a purple and a darker color to be more of a background block, easier to ignore. The same block that I used for the edges of sandstone, because that area has clear borders, and it was made of bedrock, but the bedrock being light colored and gray kind of makes it a highlight block instead, and I didn't want that. It was pointed out to me, actually. I would have ignored it. I'm glad it was pointed out to me. And then I did this. I wanted to just take Exuma's texture because he made one, but I'm selling these, and so I want to make sure all the graphics that exist were made by me, and so there's no issue. Many of the blocks here, maybe not many, maybe one or two, maybe just this one, are made a little bit lighter, and these are the same blocks that I used in the iron area. So there's some more cohesion there. And then I put some diamond stuff into a quartz block so it could kind of mix in with the color palette. So now it's a little more clear. You're falling down into a different area. You're not falling down into here, but this still is a dead end of sorts. These are where spawners were. I probably won't turn every single one into a spawner because there's a lot of them. There's probably way more than we need, and I can do natural spawns as well. I also made it so there's not really many areas where the blocks drop down by 2, so it's more of a terrain. It's still a jaggy up and down. So it's still unique and interesting. I gotta switch that with something. I don't know what. Some more diamonds. This loops around just like the other area, except I made it kind of climb up a little steep, and then over here it climbs down a little bit steep. But then also I punched through to the side and down. So the paths kind of all lead to each other no matter which direction you go. Because it's really not meant to be a maze, it's just meant to be an interesting environment. What kind of environment might you find beneath the twisted version of something that the original of which is not twisted? And I don't know if this is what it is, but this is what it is this time. We have the area that we just saw in the old version. This is a little more opened out. I kind of have different elevation changes with the blocks, which I think is really interesting. And I picked where there should be blocks, and then I placed blocks until the space was filled in. And so you end up with this. I think if you can make a rule, in this case like a building rule, and then follow it, then the results have a logic behind it, and maybe that feels better when you look at it, even though you don't know why. I don't know if that's true, but it sounds good, and so it's what I'm doing. I am going to have windstorm skeletons down here, but maybe it'll more be a spawner that's over here, which means I'd swap that out with the blue lantern because they don't have as much light. We have our records, which I think, yeah, they have no lore text. There's that chest up above that I have the fixed versions. But I need to think about what's going to be down here. What are you going to be fighting? Do you have enough loot? Are your weapons and armor strong enough? Should I make sure there's a loot chest that has what you need? The idea behind that would be if you don't take the time to explore and get all the loot boxes, that's on you. And if you do take the time to explore, you feel rewarded. It's important for the map to be challenging. It's important for the player to be able to make mistakes. It's most important for those mistakes, once they're made, if you do an honest evaluation of the situation, for it to be clearly your fault as the player. If it's not clearly the player's fault, then it will feel like the map is unfair. And then you won't really have a good time. But if you feel like it's your fault, and you just need to try harder to overcome it, or it could have been easily avoided, then the experience is still interesting, because you still had the up and down, the emotional experience, but it doesn't get blamed on the map. And so you get to grow, or however you want to react to that situation, but it gets to be a positive thing. It doesn't have to be a negative. In the Act 1 area, there are bees and there are ducks. And so in the Twisted Distortion dungeon, there will be bees and there will be ducks. Except the bees will be nether bees. And if you run away from them enough, like 5 or 10 blocks, I think, they lose interest. And if not, they sting you. And the amount of damage, they do, and the length of wither that they do on you are different depending on the difficulty, which I think is cool. I'm also thinking of having the Firebite people there. Spoiler. This map seems like it's spider heavy, and so I'm kind of playing into that. The fact that the legendary weapon of this area kills spiders really efficiently. And then here's what I'm working on for the Dragoon. So he will jump at you. And that looks really good, but what I should show you, he's just jump, and he doesn't really do anything. Because he does have a cooldown on his attack, so it's kind of good that he doesn't do anything. The jumping doesn't really do anything either. I struggled with this guy also for an obscene amount of time trying to get, trying to figure out how to get. Oh my gosh, that's actually good. Do you know how amazing that will feel if you go to attack an enemy and he jumps out of the way? It will feel like I'm a mastermind and I just thought of an amazing thing. It's going to feel so great, even though what you should really know is it's a disaster of an enemy. It doesn't do anything exactly like I want. It just kind of hops around like an idiot. I want him to jump up and then attack while he's in the air. I couldn't figure out how to do that. There's got to be a way. The stuff that has come out of the marketplace, there's got to be a way. But I don't know it. Okay, one last thing to close this out, and I have no idea how long I've been recording because I didn't pay attention to all the different segments that I did. So hopefully it's not too incredibly long. This is my Excel file, which I live and breathe Excel because I have to. Here's so I can make sure that I've balanced out my materials so that there's a sense of progression. Same with loot, although this isn't specifically the loot I have in those areas. Just by this time, I feel comfortable that it would be good for the player to be this far progressed. And so I need to kind of cross-check this when I'm adding my loot. Make sure I'm not making it too weak or too strong. This is the different food. This is the one tab that I feel is really complete. Keeping track of when the player might be able to craft or build this themselves or farm it themselves. And so I can make sure that the food I'm handing out actually makes sense with what you probably already have access to. Potions, not as involved because there's not that much there. But again, this is all to make sure there's a sense of progression. Mobs for the Twisted Distortion area. Crimson Forest is the biome of the upper area, Jagged Peaks the bottom. That's just so if I want to do natural spawns, I can have different things in different places or different amounts, different mixes. The Nether Bee, which I created. The Duck, which does not attack. And I figure the 2 spiders to kind of fit the theme of spiders. and then the Dragoon that I'm still trying to design. And then for the lower area, we'll add in the Silverfish, we'll take out the Firebite, and we'll add the Windstorm. I think it'll work. I think it'll be good. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Have a great day.